Hi everyone, welcome to High Playing Games. It's Simon here, and this is Chop, a 4-player local brawler, which basically means that everybody's going to die in the most bloodiest way possible. This has recently come out of early access / Kickstarter, and still to me feels like it still has some way to go. I don't know if that's because I've got the beta, and even though it's showing as 1.09, there's still modes in the menu that are missing. There are 4 characters to choose from, which isn't a lot to be honest. Each one has its own projectile weapon, which you can kind of control slightly differently, which is really where the difference between each of them arises. And the main kind of distinction in this mode, apart from the fact that it's as bloody and gory as hell, as you can see on the screen, is that in the rush out mode, essentially what you have to do is kill someone and then get to your coloured portal to escape. And the first one that does it gets 3 points, second 2, third 1, and the fourth one gets nothing. And you can kind of go into the match options and decide how many points you want to do to try and get to the top thing as you go along. Now, if you don't have friends locally, sob me, there is AI available. It's on a 5 scale rating. I have to say, as you'll be seeing here, is that the FIC AI really are FIC, and particularly not so much in the free-for-all mode, because there is a battle mode where you don't have to do the portals and get to the exit. It's just a straightforward killing match. They're better in that. The AI seems to not understand to go for the portal, if that makes sense. So just be aware of that. But I really like the aesthetic of this game. It's that kind of gory, awkward comic book. And whenever someone dies, as you see, it kind of does that comic book slash across to make it all dramatic. You'll have little pop-out panes for when you do like a melee damage hug and like rip off someone's head and things like that. And I love the way how that is all put together. It's a really nice aesthetic, which kind of makes the blood and gore feel less blood and gory, if that makes sense. Not that I'd give it to your 5-year-old and go, hey everybody. The other thing that I really like about this game is the stage layouts. And this is specifically for fans of Towerfall, if you like this. Because a lot of the different levels have this ability where you can throw something, particularly a projectile, with your sword across one side of the screen. It will fly off and it will kind of kill someone on the other side, which is really, really good. Particularly if you're playing with the female character, because she's the one that can control her sword as it flies around, which is super handy for doing those types of moves. There you can see the pop-out panes of the head crashes and stuff. So yeah, the level design layout is really, really good, and there's like 60 or so of them anyway, so there's plenty to choose from and lots of variety, even if there isn't so much variety on the characters themselves. There are power-ups in the game as well. Currently there are 6, although I've seen that there is ideas to have a few more. Some of them give you lasers and things like that, and that's what happens when your time runs out, by the way. It does that laser all the way through, so essentially everyone gets killed, and then usually, because you won't be able to get to a portal in time when that kicks off, you won't be getting any points. And here's a good example of the Towerfall stuff, where you can run across one screen and come out the other. The power-ups are really, really handy, because some of them will let you freeze people, some of it will give you an Uzi gun so that you can then just shoot like 10 projectiles wherever you're going. There's others which connect lasers together, so you can, if you can see someone's got to get to a portal and there's only one way through, you can set up the laser so that they're stuck, and then they're going to basically have to chuck someone into that portal or push someone into it so that they can be killed, essentially, or they're going to die themselves and then the portal will shut and then it's not there anymore. There's lots of different tactics to the game which are quite interesting, so you can kind of sit there and think, how would that really work? Which is pretty cool, and I do like that. Elsewhere, the game is... there's a couple of things that take a little bit of getting used to, I find, with this game. The first one is the character movement, and it's because you stick to platforms as you go along. So there is no... like, if you hit a wall on the way down, you will cling to it. It's almost like you're a spider, and it doesn't really matter necessarily what gravity is doing, because you can kind of cling on to stuff as you go around. Which is really, really interesting, particularly when one of the power-ups actually flips horizontally the level, so that then your controls and everything are back to front and upside down. because then you're like, oh, the wall is the ceiling is the wall, and then when you flip back, you're like, I can still walk on the ceiling. But yeah, it takes a bit of a while of getting used to, particularly because your characters are quite sturdy in the way how they move around. So they have weight to them. And because you're doing acrobatics that imply that you have no weight, I don't know why, but it takes me a little while whenever I boot up this game to kind of go, right, that's how that character moves, and I'm okay with this. So yeah, just be aware of that when you're first playing. In terms of graphical performance and game performance, there's a bit of a long wait in the first load time when you boot it up, although every time they update the game it's getting shorter, which is good. But once you're kind of up and running, you're fine. You may see some graphical slowdown actually on the game itself, but it's not actually present when you're playing the game. This is me recording the game, which therefore has a bit of a performance on my PC, because it's bright and pretty, and this is medium graphics, so I've not turned it up to full. And bear in mind my PC is like years old now, and is well overdue an upgrade, so it's not a reflection on the game itself, it's a reflection on my PC. But talking of graphics and slow down and stop, one of the things that I think might be a bit of a flipping point, although personally I didn't find a problem with it, is that when someone is doing those head rip moves and stuff like that, the game pauses for everyone, obviously, whilst everyone sees that gorification. So sometimes that will throw you off because you're in the middle of a move and then you're thinking, why have I paused? No. Or when someone's dying and it does that slash across the screen, because there's the momentary pause, you're like, but what you can do is use that to your advantage, because if everyone else is, especially when you're new to the game, you look at the beautiness of, ooh, death, blood, and then you could be busy teeing up where you're going to do your next move, which can be kind of handy. Other modes that you've got in this game, apart from the Portal one, is just the complete side-by-side thing where you're dueling with stuff through that, which is great. You also have the free-for-all stuff. There is something called Skull Crusher or something, where you're supposed to collect other people's skulls, but it's not available yet, so I can't comment on that. And I do like the fact that you can do free-for-all, you can do 2 versus 2, 1 versus 1, 1 versus 2, and 1 versus 3. So you can permutate that 4-player lineup wherever you want, as long as it's local. And if you do have to put in AI, please ramp up the difficulty, because the 1s and the 2s are thick as doo-doo. And they don't understand it, particularly in the Portal side of stuff. So yeah, overall, I really quite like the game Chop. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it immediately out of the bag, because I think there are other games that do this type of stuff better, like Towerfall, and I sound really boring kind of responding to that, but for me this is about whether or not the aesthetic clicks with you and you want the blood, guts and gore, and the ability to really customize your experience. Those are the great things about it. For me, I still struggle slightly with the way how the characters move and the way how their physics react to the world around them. And I don't have many local friends. And if the AI is poor or ridiculously amazing on 5-star or 5 skull, I kind of think, So yeah, good, potentially verging on great. But yeah, if you like what you see, please do pick it up. It came out on the 30th of August and is available on Steam now. I'll leave you with the rest of this gameplay. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you liked what you see, and there'll be a written review over on higherplayinggames.com later on this week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.